Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao, who was the first person of Chinese ancestry to hold that position. Good morning, Susan.
Good morning, Steve. The most successful Asian American politician of her generation and arguably the most successful in U.S. history. Now, life in America for Elaine Chao started off with many, though, of the same challenges that others chasing the American dream face.
As the first United States Secretary of Transportation of Chinese ancestry,
Elaine Chao, former Transportation and Labor Secretary who has worked under 4 U.S. presidents.
Elaine Chao believes deeply in the American dream because she has lived it.
Born in Taiwan, the eldest of 6 girls, Chao's parents managed to survive the horrors of World War II, then the Chinese Civil War, a tumultuous time in history that split up many families.
I came to America on a freighter with my mother and 2 sisters to be reunited with my father, who had come 3 years earlier.
The Chao family first settled in Queens, New York, in a small 1-bedroom apartment.
When I was 8 years old and came to this country, we didn't speak the language. We couldn't even eat the food. I mean, Asian Americans do not eat big chunks of meat stuffed between bread.
The struggle that many immigrants go through when East meets West.
It was still difficult, though, because there are cultural differences. So as an example, I never went to my junior prom nor my senior prom.
After graduating from Harvard Business School, Elaine Chao went to work in the private sector.
And even when I, graduated and went to work at a bank, this is, again, a very Asian tradition. I would give a portion of my salary to my parents. That's kind of like unheard of in Western culture.
Public service soon called, starting with a fellowship in the Reagan White House.
In 1983, it was not a very diverse population at the White House. I think the only Asians who were there were the Filipino stewards in the White House mess.
Washington, D.C. would not only define Chao's career, but also the place where she would meet her future husband, marrying Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell in the early 1990s.
It's just wonderful to have someone like Mitch. It helps a great deal. He's very understanding, very supportive, and that's been a tremendous asset for me in tackling my new job.
Chao would go on to serve as the head of the Peace Corps under George H.W. Bush, confirmed as Labor Secretary under George W. Bush, the only cabinet member to serve out both terms, then as Transportation Secretary for Donald Trump. Were you aware of what you represented to the Asian American community, being the first?
I always was very aware of the significance of my position, its implication for the community, and also its implication for America.
Blazing trails while winning support across the political aisle.
I found her in many ways easier to work with, not only than most of the other cabinet secretaries under President Trump, but frankly, easier to work with than most of the cabinet secretaries under President Obama.
Despite already breaking through barriers in U.S. politics, Elaine Chao says there might be one more glass ceiling for Asian Americans to shatter. What achievements do you think you would like to see for the Asian American community?
I do not think it is outside the realm of possibilities that in my lifetime, we will see an Asian American president.
Now, Chao says that she was so afraid at one point in her life that she would never find her way in America, that if she didn't work hard, she'd be out on the streets, not be able to support herself. But she says that she's learned along the way that America has a lot of opportunities for people of all colors. And if you lose one, there will be others. Guys?
So much of her life story I was unfamiliar with. That was a great report. What a life she's led.
Fantastic. Yeah, she's such a role model for the Asian American community, and she's really just led by example.
All right, Susan Lee, thank you very much for joining us live. For more stories